Hi everyone and welcome to the new video. In the previous videos I explained how to connect and to configure the Meshtastic board. I also explained how to make a range test. Now let's explore some Meshtastic advanced features. For example, I will show how you can create a private channel or how you can connect an external sensor. Without further ado, let's get into it. As the first thing, let's see how we can create a private channel in Meshtastic. Obviously, Meshtastic is good for sending and receiving messages, but you don't want all messages to be public. For example, if you are hiking with friends, you don't want everyone in several kilometers to see your messages, right? And in Meshtastic, we can do it easily by creating the private channel. And here I have two boards on my desk, and I will show how to create a private channel between them. Let's see how it works. Logically, it is simple, but there are some tricks you need to know. Let's get into it. First and obviously we need to open the Meshtastic app and to connect to your board. Then I'm going to the channel settings. The channels list will be retrieved from the board. And now I'm pressing the plus button and I'm adding a new channel. And here is the tricky part. I need to store the channel name and I need to store the security key. This is important because all messages in Meshtastic are encrypted, and if the name and the key does not match, the message just will not be displayed. So here I am creating the name and I need to copy this key to the clipboard. And now I'm pressing save and the channel is created. The UI here is a bit tricky. We need to press send button and only after that the command to create a channel will be sent to the board. And now we are ready to create the same channel on the second board. Did you remember that we saved the key to the clipboard? So now I'm opening the boards list and I'm connecting the app to the second board. And now I'm doing the same thing. I'm creating the new channel with the same name and with the same security key. So I am pasting the same key and I'm pressing save. And again the UI is not obvious. I need to press send again. And now we're done. These two boards are connected to the same private channel. Of course I have these two boards on my desk. If the board is remote, then I can just share this security key with any messenger. I can send it with a paper mail, with a pigeon, with any other way. And now two boards are connected. Let's send a message from one to another. I am opening the conversation window. Here is my private channel. And here I can send the message, for example, hello world. And now I'm sending it. And as we can see, the message has appeared on the second board. The private channel works. Of course, you can add more than two boards to the same channel. The logic is the same. Meshtastic is a decentralized network. There is no central hub. If the key is not correct, you will not see any error messages. You can send different messages, but if the message cannot be decrypted, it will just be ignored. So you need to share the same key for all the boards. And now when the private channels work, let's go forward. Okay, at this moment we are able to create a private channel between two or more boards, and now we will use this channel for the detection sensor. A detection sensor module is a cool feature in Meshtastic, but obviously it works only with private channels, because if you have connected a button or the motion sensor to your board, you don't want all people around to see your messages. Without further ado, let's see how it works. As a first step, I need to open the Meshtastic app. Then as usual, I must select the board and open the settings. And here we have a detection sensor tab. In this window we have several interesting settings. First I need to enable the detection sensor. The second parameter is a minimum broadcast. I will set it to 15 seconds. If the event will be triggered faster, it will not be sent. It makes sense if you don't want to send too many messages, for example if your sensor is broken. The third parameter is called state broadcast. It can be used to send the messages even if the state was not changed. It's a sort of heartbeat, so you know that your board is working. Friendly name is a message that you will see on the screen when this pin changed. You can set any text you want. And the next tricky part is a GPIO pin. Here you must open the datasheet of your board. In theory you can select different pins, but some pins are already used by the system, for example by the serial port. So ideally you can select a pin that is not occupied by any other servers. For example, on my Heltec V4 board, I see that the pin 48 is free, so I will use this one. As we can see, the pins list is pretty long, so you can find the pin you want. And the next two parameters will require a bit knowledge of electronics. The first parameter is detection trigger. For example, if my pin is going from high to low, I will select a falling edge. You can test different values and see what works better for you. And the last parameter is input pull-up mode. It is also important. Here the idea is that when a pull-up is enabled, the pin by default is connected to the power, so it has a logical 1. And when the button is pressed, you get logical 0. It makes sense if you are using a button, because if there is no pull-up, the pin will be in the floating state and you can just get electromagnetic noise. In this case, you must enable input pull-up. But if you use a specific sensor, for example a motion detector, this detector usually has its own pull-up resistor, so you don't need to do anything, then you can just uncheck this box. As a first simple test, I will use a button, so I am enabling this pull-up resistor. And when the settings are done, we must press save. But this is not all we need. There is another crucial settings, and without it, it will not work. As I mentioned before, we must use a private channel. We must go to the channels page. In here I must select the private channel as a primary, because the board will send these messages automatically and it can do it only for a private channel. I don't know why Meshtastic automatically cannot select the private channel, but we need to do it manually. We need to drag and drop the private channel and we need to put it first in the list. And now I'm pressing send and we are done. So I used a pin 48 and I must connect it to the ground, so it will be logical 0. As a reminder, I'm using a falling edge settings, so I must connect the pin to the ground and the event will be triggered. I just connected two wires to my board and let's see how it works. Of course, in the reality you can use specific sensors for that. For example, maybe you can make a sensor for opening the window or door, but the logic is still the same. Now I have two boards on my desk, and now I'm connecting to the second board. Connection takes a bit of time. And now I'm connecting two wires to trigger the event, and I can see a message on the second board. It works. And by the way, you need to specify a private channel as a primary only on the board that is sending the messages. For the board that is receiving the messages, it is not required. If I press the button too fast, there are no new messages. There was a 15-second broadcast interval. So as we can see, the board works as expected. And now I will show how to connect a motion sensor. The logic is the same. As we can see, a pyroelectric sensor is a pretty simple device. It is a small board. It has only 3 pins, ground, output and the power. You can also adjust the time delay and the sensitivity. And these are all the settings we have. This device is passive infrared. It can detect a human motion. It's not very accurate. Sometimes you can get false positive results, but for this price it's pretty good. Nowadays there are more advanced sensors available, for example 24 GHz micro radars. If you want me to test it, write in the comments below and maybe I will make a separate video. But this passive infrared sensor is good enough for its price. Let's now connect it to Meshtastic and see how it works. The connection diagram is simple. A motion sensor has only 3 pins, a ground, a power and the output. And you need to find 2 datasheets, a datasheet for the motion sensor and a datasheet for your Meshtastic board. As for the motion sensor, it is pretty easy, but I saw 2 different versions. Some boards have a power pin at the left and another boards have a power pin at the right, so be careful. If you connect the wrong polarity, you can damage the board. And here is my motion sensor and here's the Meshtastic board. I need to connect the ground pin. I need to connect the 5 volts pin. And I will use the same pin number 48 as before. The only difference is that I need to open settings and I need to disable the pull-up resistor because the board has its own one. The motion sensor sets pin to high when the motion is detected, so I will use a rising edge as a trigger type, and now we're ready for the test. So generally the logic is the same. I'm saving the config, these are my final settings, and now I can just keep the board running. And when I walk nearby, I can see the message when the motion is triggered. It works. Of course, you can do more adjustment if you want. You can specify the sensitivity, you can change the message and so on. Feel free to test it. And as we can see, the motion sensor works. You can use one board as a remote motion sensor. As we know, LoRa radio modules have a pretty good range, so you can use it on the remote location, for example, for a greenhouse. And obviously the power of Meshtastic is that it is a distributed network. You can have several boards and they will forward your messages. So as we can see, it is an interesting technology. Write in the comments below if you already tested it or if you are going to test. And that is it for this video. Thanks for watching. I hope you learned something new. In the next video I will show more Meshtastic features, I will test networking and MQTT. Press like and subscribe to see more content like this. You are also welcome to visit my Patreon page. Your support helps me to buy stuff like this for testing. Thanks for watching and see you next time.